Good morning. I appreciate it much more than I can say when we get great story ideas from viewers. I just need to organize my thoughts a bit, go outside, and then bark at the camera for a few minutes. So thanks much, and keep these coming. This is from Neil Roberts, who points out that an Australian mining and energy company was given an RMB-denominated loan syndication worth $2 billion US. More de-dollarization is how he says it, and that's a great way to think about it. Using renminbi instead of dollars and using banks outside the Western SWIFT system is de-dollarization. And these movements away from the US and Western systems are being done on better terms than what borrowers are getting from our own banks on US dollar loans. The headline story is that Fortescue Metals got a renminbi-denominated loan worth 14.2 billion yuan, which is just under $2 billion. Fortescue is the fourth largest iron ore miner in the world. The loan is for 5 years at a 3.8% interest rate. The use of funds is unrestricted. Fortescue is a big and successful operator out of Australia. As of mid-year, Fortescue had $4.3 billion cash on hand, which was an increase of $1 billion year over year. The Bank of China and ICBC are Chinese banks with branches in Australia. A syndicated loan means that there is more than one bank involved, and this is the first loan of its kind, a renminbi-denominated loan to an Australian company. Fortescue says the loan helped them to achieve its lowest ever cost of debt. That part is important. Fortescue is working with Chinese banks and lowering the cost of capital for the company. This is the press release from Fortescue. Fortescue is a corporation. They're a major corporation, but this is an unsecured loan. It's not collateralized by real estate or other fixed assets. It's just a company's promise to pay. Their interest rate is 3.8% for 5 years. This is a table of Australian government bonds as of Friday's close, 22 August. The effective yield on 5-year paper is 3.67%. The Australian government can print money to make the interest payments on these bonds. The Australian government can raise taxes on Australians to make the interest payments on these bonds. Fortescue is a private company and can borrow money from Chinese banks in Australia for just slightly more than what the Australian government itself can. That is what de-dollarization is. Going to capital markets in New York or to Australian banks for this money, it would cost Fortescue around 6% per year instead of 3.8%. There is more to the story. It gets worse. Back in February, Fortescue was already concerned about its $550 million hydrogen energy project in the United States and how under the new Trump administration, it may be too risky to continue it. This was from the transcript of their earnings call. A few months after that, Fortescue shut it down. The project in Arizona included an 80-megawatt plant that would have produced 11,000 tons of liquid hydrogen per year. But nobody in the energy business knows what the rules are anymore, so they shut it down and took a $150 million charge, basically writing off their investments to that point. So putting together all the moving parts here, the United States is getting out of the clean energy business, so Fortescue is getting out of the United States. China is pushing to use their currency, the renminbi, in as much of their bilateral trade as possible, the trade back and forth between China and companies outside China. Fortescue is an ideal example of what the Chinese hope to do with their major trading partners, to use the renminbi instead of US dollars or Australian dollars. China is the world's biggest buyer of iron ore, and Fortescue sells most of their ore to China. Fortescue will use the proceeds from this loan to develop a green steel industry. Fortescue already has big contracts with XCMG, $400 million worth, to buy electric-powered wheel loaders, bulldozers, and grading equipment. The syndicated loan will allow the company to grow further and faster, strengthen cooperation with Chinese suppliers, eliminate almost entirely exchange rate risk, and push down the cost of their entire capital structure. Fortescue improves its operations, cuts costs, and pays back the loan with the money it's already earning by selling iron ore to China. It is a closed loop situation for everybody. And to Mr. Roberts' point in the very beginning, this is billions of dollars in capital finance for tens of billions in future trade between Australia and China. And from now on, there will not be a single Western bank or US dollar used for any of it. This is the Yueyang Tower in Hunan. Be good.
Pray for those who hurt you. Love your enemies. Do unto others as you want others to do for you. Store up for yourself treasure in heaven. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. No man can serve two masters.